Hi there. Welcome to FreedomWorks University Introduction to Civil Liberties. My name is Reed Smith. I'm staff writer and editor here at FreedomWorks, and I'm here to introduce you to the conversation. We've all heard of the Civil Rights Era. Men and women of all races and creeds resisted racial segregation and discrimination through civil disobedience, nonviolent resistance, marches, protests, boycotts, freedom rides, and rallies. These strategies received national attention as newspaper, radio, and television reporters documented their struggle to end racial inequality. Now, some people are saying we're entering a new Civil Liberties Era. Recent scandals have exposed proof of massive government overreach and intrusions into our personal privacy. Our rights to freely assemble and express our beliefs have been fundamentally threatened by federal agencies that wield awesome administrative power as a blunt instrument of political partisanship. But your liberties aren't just threatened by a high-flying president who slipped the fundamental checks and balances, separation of power, and representative government constructed by the founders. They're challenged on a daily basis, and you can forfeit your liberties if you don't know how to use them. Make no mistake, your freedoms don't come cheap, and your civil liberties can vanish absent your effort. Public servants and the citizens they serve must actively fight to preserve our liberties. The best way to do that is to know what your rights are, where they come from, and how best to use them. Your civil liberties are your constitutional rights. They don't just exist in theory, but in the courtroom, in the classroom, at home, and in your car. We've all heard the history and learned about our Constitution. We know about our Bill of Rights, and we realize that our rights and liberties are unique. In fact, they're part of an extraordinary experiment that gave the founding citizens of this nation a gift previously unknown in history. As we all know by now, the founders were brilliant jurists. The Constitution is just vague enough, just elastic enough, that the language they penned more than 200 years ago still perfectly applies to our life and liberty today. So what do we need to know? Well, a good place to start is to understand the difference between your civil rights and your civil liberties. So what's the difference between a liberty and a right? Both words appear in the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, the collective name given the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. But rights and liberties refer to different kinds of guaranteed protections. Civil rights refer to positive actions our governments should take to create equal conditions for all Americans. They're often associated with protections of minority groups. Our government guarantees these rights to balance against the so-called tyranny of the majority, to shield minorities who find themselves outvoted and unprotected. Civil liberties, on the other hand, are your protections from your government.